Today I'm going to be making a pain relief salve for a woman, and I know I have a few other remedies for soothing different kinds of pains on my channel and also on my website. But when I do something specific for a person, I make adjustments. So that's what I'm going to talk with you about today. Some of the adjustments that I'm making. You can go to my cayenne salve recipe, and I'll put that in the cards up here if you want to link on over to that. But this one's going to be kind of a hybrid of a couple of different recipes that I like to use. So this lady came in and she needed something for her back, and she mentioned that she's got osteoporosis and she's got tiny fractures in her spine as well. So not only is she dealing with pain, but she's dealing with some degradation of bone and things like that. So this salve is going to support her body in improving, hopefully, that, or at least making her feel a little bit better. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, and therefore I do not ever say that herbs heal anything. That's not what this is about. However, herbs can do wonderful things to support the natural processes our body already has in place for health and healing. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the ingredients that I chose for her, and then how to go about making the salve. First off, I'm going to share with you, I've got some essential oils here. I have got a Pyrex measuring cup. I have got some rubbing alcohol. I have 5 2-inch tins. I figure I'm going to make a lot of this. Everybody needs pain relief salve. And this one's going to be a really nice one. This is a great formula, so I'm excited about that and excited to share it with you. So on top of the tins, I've got some measuring tools, and I've got my comfrey infused oil. I did a video on how to make this from start to finish, and I'll put a link to this in the card for you too. This is the most amazing comfrey infused oil ever. And I've got some cayenne infused oil too, which is amazing, and I'm going to talk about why it's amazing in just a moment. And then we've got organic beeswax, and the beeswax, of course, is going to be the thickener for the salve. So I've already used my rubbing alcohol, and what I did with that was I sterilized my little tins. So before I use a container, I like to be sure that it's at least clean, at the very least, with soap and water. But if I'm going to be sharing my remedy with somebody else, then I sterilize it, and I keep everything very sterile, basically, very, very clean. Okay, so first off, I'm going to go ahead and take my comfrey infused oil, and I chose to use 3/4 of a cup of this oil. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour this in to the 3/4 of a cup range. And I'll show you here how beautiful and green it is. This is actually going to almost use up one of my 8-ounce jars. I sell these in my shop, or I will be soon. These are ready to go. I just need to get the labels for them. But this salve, or this infused oil, gosh, look at how it's leaving the green residue on the bottle. That's not a green bottle. This is actually a clear glass bottle with the green comfrey infused oil in it, and it's amazing. And I'm going to turn down the heat on my pot here. I have a little pot full of water, and it's just starting to simmer. All right, next up, I'm going to take my cayenne infused oil. That was a good whiff of cayenne. I like to smell my infused oils if they've been around for a little bit of time, just to be sure that they're still good. And I'm going to pour 1/4 of a cup into my measuring cup. So what I've got here is a total of 1 cup of herbal infused oil between the cayenne infused oil, and which was 1/4 cup, and the comfrey infused oil, which was 3/4 of a cup. I put my lid on there. Okay, put those aside. And look how gorgeous that is. It's kind of a dark green color. All right, next up, I'm going to take 1/4 cup of beeswax pellets. And you can get these on Amazon or from a good health food store. And I'm going to go ahead and drop those into the infused oil. There's no air left in there. set this aside. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and set my Pyrex jar into the saucepan of infusing water, just like that. Sometimes I'll use a pint jar. I often will just use a pint jar, and then I used to get tongs or a hot pad. If I use a pint jar to where it's sitting on the bottom of the saucepan, I like to put a cloth under it because that keeps it from jiggling around a whole lot, because you don't want the jiggles. You don't want any chance of any water getting into your infused oil. It will completely mess it up, and you'll have to start all over again. And that is not fun. All right, and I have a glass stir rod. Occasionally, while we're waiting for the beeswax to melt, I'm just going to give this a little stir and make sure that that beeswax gets combined in there. And actually, it's melting pretty quickly. That's good. All right, while that's going, I want to talk with you about the essential oils that are going into this preparation. Let me just clean myself up here. So here, I've got about 140 drops or so of my essential oil blend. You can see it's a very pretty, like bluish color, very lovely. And I'm going to talk with you about what I chose to put in this. Now, whenever you're adding essential oils to a salve or a infused massage oil or something, you need to take into account a couple of things. Number one is, do the oils blend well together? Is it going to smell good? Because nobody's going to use it if your blend doesn't smell good. The other thing you want to take into account is the person you're working with. I'm pretty careful about what I use with people, and I make sure that I check on any medications they're on and all of that. For something like this, salve, I'm going to go with just under a 5% dilution. It's going to be going on a localized area. It's not going all over the body. And the essential oils that I'm choosing to use are all relatively safe, except for one of them, which I'm going to talk about, and you may choose to leave this one out. It'll still be effective if you do. All right, so what I've got here is, and actually I wanted to say, this is very safe if used correctly, all right? I would not use something that's not safe. All right, the first one I've got going on here is German chamomile. This is Matricaria recitata, and I love this essential oil. It's one of the blue oils, and when an oil is blue, it contains a chemical called chemazoline, and that chemical is very, very anti-inflammatory. Chamomile is also calming and soothing. So I've got 20 drops of German chamomile. It's a bit of an expensive oil, so, you know, you can use as little or as much as you like of that one. Next up is I've got ginger. Ginger essential oil is warming, and that helps bring blood to the surface of the skin. It's known as a rubefacient. So if we're talking technical herbal actions, that's what ginger helps to do, along with the cayenne oil that's infusing over here. Both of these are strongly rubefacient, and by bringing the blood to the surface or bringing the blood to that area, that's going to help warm up and soothe and bring nutrients in. So it's very, very helpful. So I love ginger root for this, and I used 30 drops of ginger root. Next up is I've got balsam copaiba. I'll put these right here so you can see them if you want. Balsam copaiba is one I just love to use. It's very, very safe. It's safe for children. It's safe for pets. It's highly anti-inflammatory, and that's because it contains a special chemical. There's a number of reasons. These chemicals in these essential oils all work together synergistically, but this chemical in particular, B-caryophyllene, is exceptional at being an anti-inflammatory and also a soothing pain reliever very, very safely. It's also safe for the skin. So I just love working with balsam copaiba. I never let myself run out of that one. Next up, oh, and I've got 30 drops of this, of balsam copaiba. Next up, we've got frankincense. How could we make something for inflammation without frankincense? Frankincense is amazing, of course, but it's been clinically studied and proven to be an anti-inflammatory. It's a wonderful helper in a blend like this, and it calms and soothes. Next up, I've got black pepper. Black pepper essential oil, or Piper nigrum, is also amazing, especially in a blend like this, because you've got constituents in black pepper that go to work to support the other ones. Also, black pepper contains B-caryophyllene as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about B-caryophyllene. That chemical is really helpful because it's actually the same chemical that's in CBD oil. So there you go. You can actually get some CBD effects without using CBD oil at all. And I really love using black pepper and copaiba in combination in blends like this, especially when you're working with other anti-inflammatories and that have different capabilities, like German chamomile and frankincense. It's pretty amazing what you can do. So I chose to put 25 drops of black pepper in here. All right. I'll do a rundown of all the drops again when I get through this, just in case I forgot. Sometimes I forget and then people call me out. I feel really bad. Alrighty, the last two are very pain relieving, very analgesic essential oils. I've got wintergreen essential oil. Now, wintergreen contains methyl salicylate. Methyl salicylate is the compound that is found in aspirin that seeps into your bloodstream, goes through some metabolic processes, and ends up being a nice pain reliever. So I like to use it once in a while for topical purposes, but I don't use very much. In fact, can't remember the exact safety information. I believe it's less than 0.4% in any kind of a dilution, but this is much, much less than that, and it's still going to be effective. You don't need very much. Wintergreen essential oil. Now, one of the contraindications for wintergreen is that if you're on blood thinners, you need to be careful. But if you're using it topically and you're using it in a localized area and you're not using very much, you're probably okay. Be sure to talk to your doctor about that. I'm using 20 drops of wintergreen essential oil. Next up is peppermint. And I love using peppermint in different kinds of remedies for soothing different kinds of common pains, because it's full of menthol and it's cooling. And you would be thinking, well, why would you be using a warming essential oil like ginger with a cooling one? Like peppermint? And that's because it works. And it works because of the different chemical constituents. It kind of gives you an icy hot sensation. But we're not using very much peppermint in this blend either. I've got 20 drops in here. So this is just under a 5% dilution. And again, let me give you a quick rundown. And that right there is going to give me just a little bit under 10 milliliters or so, probably 9.5 milliliters of essential oil that's going to go into this 10 ounces of my oil and beeswax. So you combine the oil and the beeswax together for a total number of ounces. And then you can figure out your dilution from there. So once again, German chamomile, that's 20 drops. Ginger root, I've got 30 drops. Balsam copaiba, I've got 30 drops. Frankincense, we're working with 20 drops. Black pepper, we're going to work with 25 drops. Wintergreen, we're working with 20 drops. And peppermint, we're working with 20 drops. So this is really wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and take these essential oils and set them aside. But I just want to point out that when you're creating an essential oil blend, you want to know why it's in there. You want to be sure you set your intention and know why you're adding those different essential oils, as well as the carrier oils that you're choosing to use. All right, so I'm going to give this a good little stir here. And the beeswax, once the beeswax starts floating to the top, then you know it's just about done and it's almost there. Stirring helps to melt it a little bit faster too. Okay, I just got off of my Ditch the Drugstore chat this morning, and it was an hour and a half long. We talked about so much, and if you don't know what Ditch the Drugstore is, that is my one of my featured courses where I literally teach people how to customize a home apothecary. So it's not generic, it's not just a bunch of cold and flu recipes that everybody uses and sometimes don't work. It's actually customized, and my students are able to get on there and ask me questions questions about their specific family members so that we can be sure that you, as an herbalist, are making what your family needs. And it's surprising that, a lot of people want to think that herbs act like drugs, right? I'm going to let that, this has just got a couple more minutes. But herbs don't act like drugs. Herbs are different than drugs. Herbs act like herbs, and they help the body to heal and to do what it's supposed to do. While drugs tend to cover symptoms and tend to cover things up. Now, I just went down this list of essential oils and all of the, some of the chemical properties that give them their amazing powers, but you can see where I could have used different essential oils with some similar capabilities for a different person, and it would have come out differently. For example, if this lady didn't have small fractures in her spine, I might choose a different carrier oil too. And the herbal infused carrier oils are also very similar. So in Ditch the Drugstore, my students learn herbalism for real. They learn real herbalism. It's not just a recipe off of YouTube. You cannot learn herbalism by watching somebody make a recipe on YouTube. You can get some ideas. You can have a good time. You might find a good recipe, maybe, but you're going to learn herbalism only by learning to work with your own body, your uniqueness, and your family's bodies and their uniqueness. Okay, and that's what I'm going to say about that. It's got a couple more minutes. So while that's going, it's almost done. I'm going to show you some free gifts I have for you. I have a ton of free gifts for my people who I love you for so much. If you go to my website, healingharvesthomestead.com, you're going to find a ton of free things over there. I've also got a resource library that you can get into. But these are the latest and greatest. So I'm speaking at a livestock summit next week, and I created a special little guide. This is 5 favorite herbal remedies for animals, and you might want to pick this up. But I'll go ahead and drop the link to that summit in the top comments so you can still get signed up for it. It starts on Monday, October 23rd, and this is 2023. This is a great little guide. It talks a little bit about safety, and I've got some remedies in here that are pretty broad use for different animals. And then my fall favorite diffuser blends. These smell good, number one. And there's also, oops, I didn't put my thieves blend in there, but you could, if you look at my YouTube channel, I will link to my immune boosting blend, so you can actually do that one too. But this is a bunch of really nice diffuser blends you can put into your diffuser and let run in your house. All right. Oh my goodness. I'm getting the steam from the cayenne. It's pretty interesting. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this Pyrex out of here. I think we're good. And let me just make sure here. Yes, we're all melted. Turn that off. I'm going to grab a paper towel. I'm going to wipe off the moisture on here because as I pour it into my tins, I don't want any liquid going into my tins either. All right, so this is pretty warm, and that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and take this essential oil now, and I'm going to go ahead and pour that in. I've got some German chamomile wanting to hang on to the sides a little bit here. Just kind of try to get it all out. And then you want to stir this really well. You would be surprised that essential oils kind of like to hang together a little bit. And you might need to stir it a little bit longer than you think. I like to do this little experiment sometimes. When I was first learning, it was an eye-opener, but I was stirring some essential oil blend that was blue. Also, it had some German chamomile and some blue tansy in it. But I was stirring it into some white lotion, and it literally took 5 minutes for the color to become the same color. So I want this really, really well stirred up. And then I'm going to go ahead, and this is obviously an oil, so it's a little bit thinner. But I'm going to go ahead and pour this into my tins now. Okay. And it's a beautiful, kind of a olive green color. And that's because of the color of the cayenne, as well as the green of the comfrey and the blue of the essential oil blend. It's really, really a lovely color. So this is a nice salve. I love seeing salves that are beautiful colors. If you're working with calendula infused oil, for example, your salve should be golden. It should be yellow and vibrant and gorgeous. And if you are working with, let's just say St. John's wort, your salve should be at the very least pink, okay? And so you can tell if your herbs have a lot of good vibrancy by the color of your salve, and that's always really fun anyway, just to see the different colors. All right, so now I'm not going to touch these. I'm going to let them just sit here and cool down, and once they set up, I'll put the lids on them, make a label, and that'll be that. So there you go. This is a special pain-soothing salve, herbal salve, made with comfrey. And by the way, I didn't talk much about comfrey, but please go watch my comfrey video because I explain exactly why comfrey works. Comfrey is the powerhouse in this salve when it comes to dealing with those little fractures for this lady. There's a chemical in comfrey called allantoin. It is cell regenerative and very, very helpful. And then we've got our cayenne, and the cayenne has capsaicin in it, and it's really helpful for the pain too. So there we go. That's it. Don't forget to go to the first comment or go into the description, and you can I'll have these 2 items in there for you, and I'll also put some other things that you may want. You can pick and choose. You can take them all. You can only take one, whatever you want to do. All right, I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel and stick around and come back and watch more great videos with me. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.